Today, I want to share something with you that has the potential to completely change the way you connect with women. And I mean that from the deepest place of what I know about human psychology. And here's what makes this different from everything else you've probably heard or read. It has absolutely nothing to do with money, nothing to do with your looks, and it has nothing, absolutely nothing to do with those tired, cheesy pickup lines you find scattered all over the internet. Because let me be honest with you, those don't work. They never really worked. And deep down, most men already know that. What I'm going to share with you today is something that operates on a completely different level. These two words I'm about to reveal to you actually activate something much deeper in the female brain. They trigger emotional connection points that most men don't even know exist. And yes, I'm going to tell you exactly what those words are. I'm going to explain the psychology behind them. But there is one detail, one critical detail that almost nobody ever talks about. And it is precisely that detail that separates the men women forget the moment they walk out the door from the men women lie awake at night thinking about. So please stay with me until the very end of this video, because what I'm about to share with you can genuinely transform the way you communicate, the way you connect, and the way women experience you. Welcome back, beautiful souls. I'm Olivia, and this is Psychology Secrets with Olivia, the channel where we go beneath the surface of human connection, attraction, and the fascinating layered world of female psychology. Whether you are a man trying to understand the women in your life or someone simply curious about how the heart and the mind work together, you are in exactly the right place. And if you're new here, welcome. I'm so glad you found this channel. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you never miss a video, because we go deep here. We don't do surface level. Now, I've spent years studying thousands of real interactions between men and women, through research, through private consultations, through interviews, and through the kinds of honest conversations that happen when people finally feel safe enough to tell the truth. And what I discovered over and over again will surprise you. Here's the truth that no one is telling men. The men who attract the most deeply and consistently are not the best looking men in the room. They are not the wealthiest. They are not the funniest or the tallest or the most conventionally impressive. The men who truly captivate women have mastered one thing and only one thing: direct, emotionally intelligent communication. And I want to stop here for a moment and speak directly to you, the person watching this right now. Maybe you've been in situations where you felt something spark with a woman, and then somehow, without knowing exactly what went wrong, the connection just quietly disappeared. Maybe you've sat across from someone you genuinely liked and felt that invisible wall go up, and you didn't know how to get through it. Or maybe you've watched other men who didn't seem like obvious catches, hold a woman's attention completely, and you couldn't figure out their secret. If any of that resonates with you, I need you to know it is not because something is wrong with you. It is because no one ever taught you the language of emotional connection, and that is what we're here to fix today. So let's get into it. While most men are spinning their wheels in shallow, surface-level conversations, trying to say the right thing, trying not to offend, trying to seem impressive without being too much, the men who genuinely stand out are doing something radically different. They have learned to use two words that function like master keys to the female subconscious. And before you think this sounds like some kind of manipulation tactic, it is not. It is the opposite. It is radical honesty. It is emotional clarity. And it is something that, when you truly embody it, doesn't just attract women. It changes the way you show up in every relationship in your life. The human brain is hardwired to respond to certain communication patterns. When these two specific words are used authentically, with the right presence and the right intention, they create what psychologists call positive emotional anchoring. They create a felt sense in the woman you're speaking with. A sense that says, this man is safe, this man is real, this man sees me, so let's go. The first word, or phrase rather, is this: I want. I know, it sounds almost too simple. You might even be rolling your eyes a little bit right now. But stay with me, because I promise you the simplicity is the point. Listen to what actually happens in a woman's brain when a man says, I want, with clarity and with calm confidence. First, he is taking full responsibility for his own desires. He is not hinting, he is not testing the waters, or sending vague signals hoping she'll decode them. He is not asking for permission or prefacing his desire with 17 layers of qualification. He is being direct. And here's one of the most fundamental secrets of female psychology. Women are profoundly attracted to men who know what they want. Why? Because it signals leadership. It signals that you are capable of making a decision. It signals that you will not constantly offload the emotional labor of choosing onto her shoulders. And whether she's consciously aware of it or not, a woman's nervous system is always quietly scanning for this quality in a man. Think about the difference between these two statements. Imagine a man who says, I don't know, maybe we could do something this weekend if you want, like we could figure something out, no pressure. What does that communicate? Insecurity, fear of rejection, a lack of inner direction. And while it might seem polite, even considerate, what it actually does is create a kind of low-level anxiety in her. It puts the burden on her to take the lead, which is the last thing a woman wants when she is hoping to feel drawn towards you. Now compare that to this. I want to take you to dinner on Saturday. I know an incredible little place. I think you'll love it. Feel the difference? In that second version, you are not begging. You are not performing. You're not trying to seem cool. You are leading. You are creating an experience. You are showing her that your desire is clear and that it comes from a place of groundedness, not desperation. And I want to be really clear about something here, because this point matters enormously. This is not about being aggressive. This is not about being pushy or entitled. This is about being assertive. There's a world of difference between the two, Assertiveness is about having the quiet courage to take up space to say, this is what I want, and then let her respond freely. No pressure, no manipulation, just clarity. When you do this and when you stand in your want without apologizing for it, you activate something that psychologists sometimes refer to as sexual polarity. You position yourself as the masculine energy that initiates, that takes direction, that moves with intention. And that energy naturally awakens the feminine desire to lean in, to respond, to be met. Now, here's where it gets really interesting, because if I want is the first key, the second word is the one that makes the magic complete. The second phrase is I appreciate. Pay close attention because this is where the depth lives. If a man only ever expresses I want, if all his communication is about his desire, his direction, his initiative, he can start to feel one-dimensional. He can come across as someone who is only interested in taking from an interaction. And women, whether consciously or not, will eventually feel that imbalance and pull back. But when you combine I want with I appreciate, something extraordinary happens. You create what I think of as the perfect emotional equation. You show her that you are a man of action and a man of depth. You show her that you are not just moving toward her because of what you want, you are moving toward her because of who she is. Let me give you a real example. Imagine you're talking with a woman you're genuinely interested in. Instead of just saying, I want to see you again, which is fine but incomplete, you say, I want to see you again because I really appreciate the way you think. A conversation with you has a depth that is genuinely rare. Do you feel what just happened there? You haven't just expressed desire. You have shown her that you see her, that you value her, not her appearance, not what she can offer you, but her essence, her mind, the specific particular way that she is her. And that, my friends, is the thing that is absolutely irresistible to a woman. Not because it is flattery, but because it is recognition. And recognition is one of the deepest human needs we have. Most men, when they compliment a woman, focus on the physical. You're beautiful. You have amazing eyes. And while those things are lovely, they are also things she has heard before. They are things that feel, at some level, like they could be said to anyone. But when you appreciate her essence, her humor, her perspective, her courage, her warmth, her specific way of thinking, you are saying something no one else has said. You are saying, I see you, the real you. And what I see matters to me. Women can feel the difference between a compliment given to impress and an appreciation given in truth. They can feel it in their chest. And it is the second kind, the kind rooted in genuine seeing, that they remember, that they carry home with them, that they think about at 2 a.m. If this content is landing for you, if you feel like something is clicking into place right now, do me a favor, tap the like button below. It takes 1 second and it genuinely helps this message reach the men who need it most. Now, I have to tell you about the mistake that destroys everything I've just shared with you, because knowing the words is only half the story. The other half is this, congruence. Do you know what congruence means in psychology? It means that your words, your body language, and your energy are all saying the same thing at the same time. They are aligned, consistent, coherent. Here's why this matters so much. The female brain is extraordinarily sensitive to incongruence. It functions like an emotional lie detector, always running quietly in the background, reading not just what you say, but how you say it, how you hold your body when you say it, whether your eyes and your voice and your posture are all telling the same story. So if you say, I want to take you to dinner, but your shoulders are curved inward, your eyes are drifting toward the floor, and your voice trails off at the end of the sentence, the message does not land, it cannot land, because your body is screaming something your words are trying to hide, and she will feel that gap even if she can't name it, even if she doesn't consciously register it. It will create a subtle unease, a sense that something is just slightly off. So here's what congruence looks like in practice. When you say, I want, stand tall, shoulders back and open, eyes meeting hers with steadiness and warmth. Voice calm and grounded, landing on the words rather than rushing past them. You're not performing confidence. You are being it. And when you say, I appreciate, slow down. Let there be a pause before you speak. Let the sincerity breathe. Lower the tempo of your words slightly so that she can feel the weight of what you mean. Because appreciation without presence is just noise. But appreciation delivered with stillness and intention, that lands in a completely different place in her body. This is the level of calibration I talk about in depth in my full coaching work. Not just the what to say, but the how to be when you say it. Because it is your presence ultimately that carries emotional weight, not your vocabulary. And there is one more essential element I need to address before we move on, timing. I am not suggesting you walk around saying, I want and I appreciate in every conversation like some kind of script you've memorized. That would be bizarre. And women would notice immediately. These phrases are powerful because they are intentional. You use them in strategic moments, the moments when you genuinely want to establish something, when you want to anchor a connection, to mark a moment as meaningful, to shift the energy between you from casual to real. For example, imagine you've just spent an incredible afternoon with someone. Maybe it was a long walk, a conversation over coffee, a spontaneous adventure that neither of you planned. And as it's ending, instead of the usual awkward, this was fun, let me know when you're free, you look at her, you slow down, and you say, I want to do this again. I really appreciate the energy you bring. Done. In 2 sentences, you have done something most men never do. You have created a positive emotional anchor. You have told her clearly and warmly that you want more of this, and that the thing you want more of is specifically her. Now, every time she thinks of you, she will remember that moment. That feeling of being seen and desired and valued all at once. And that feeling, that specific emotional memory, is what makes her reach for her phone and think of you when she has something to share. That is what makes her say yes the next time. Now, I want to shift into something that I think is going to be particularly eye-opening, especially for the men watching who are over 50. Because what I'm about to share touches on something most men in that stage of life have completely missed, not because they weren't paying attention, but because no one ever taught them how to read these signals. Have you ever noticed that some women don't flirt in any obvious, direct way, that they don't bat their eyelashes or say, "I like you," or make their interest unmistakably clear? Instead, they seem to just ask questions, quietly, casually, as if they're just making conversation. Here is what is actually happening in those moments. A woman who feels genuinely drawn to an older man, a mature, steady, seasoned man, will almost always express that interest through two very specific questions. Questions that look completely innocent on the surface, but carry enormous psychological weight underneath. Before I reveal them, I want to ask you something. Have you ever, in your life, missed a signal from a woman, only to realize weeks or even months later that she had been showing you interest the whole time? If that has ever happened to you, comment the word yes down below, because I think you'll be surprised how many men have had that exact experience. And more importantly, you will never have to have it again after today. Men over 50 often carry a quiet belief that they have become invisible, especially to younger women or even to women their own age, that the window of attraction has somehow passed them by, that the best years are behind them. I want to look you directly in the eyes through this screen and tell you that belief is not only wrong, it is the exact opposite of the truth. Mature men, men who have lived, who have depth, who carry a certain settled quality in their presence, are often more attractive than they have ever been. The research actually supports this. Studies on partner preference across age groups consistently show that what women at every life stage value most is not youth. It is emotional stability, groundedness, a sense that this person knows who he is. The problem is not that older men are less attractive. The problem is a profound and persistent misunderstanding of how women communicate attraction. And that misunderstanding is costing men real connections, real moments of genuine closeness, every single day. Here's the truth about feminine psychology that changes everything. Women rarely show interest in an obvious, linear way. They do not walk up to you and say, "I find you attractive, I'd like to explore this." What they do instead is far more subtle. They test, they probe, they check. They check your emotional calm. They check whether you are present in the conversation or half somewhere else. They check whether you notice the small things, the pauses in what they say, the things they don't quite put into words. They check whether you are the kind of man who is paying attention. And when a woman begins to view you as someone she could trust, emotionally, physically, intimately, her energy shifts. The conversation stops being casual and becomes something else, something quieter and more intentional. And it is in that space that the two questions appear. So let me take you inside the psychology of how feminine attraction actually works, because this context is everything. Women use questions the way men use actions. Think about it for a moment. When a man feels drawn to someone, he offers help. He shows up, he builds things, fixes things, creates opportunities. That is how masculine energy expresses interest, through doing, through moving toward. But feminine energy expresses interest differently. When a woman feels drawn to someone, she asks a question that hints at closeness. She places a small, carefully chosen word or phrase in the conversation like a stepping stone, and then she waits to see whether you step onto it with presence or whether you walk right past it without noticing. There are thousands of questions a woman might ask in the course of ordinary life. But across cultures, across ages, across backgrounds, there are only two questions that appear consistently and specifically when a woman is quietly exploring the possibility of real intimacy with a mature man. And I want you to understand before I reveal them, she does not ask these questions to gather information. She asks them to feel something. She wants to sense, is he calm? Is he steady? Is he emotionally open to my energy? Does he stand in his own masculine presence? Or does he deflect behind politeness and humor and safe small talk? These questions are emotional bridges. She places them carefully, delicately, almost invisibly, to see whether you step across them toward her. When you do, everything shifts. The first question she asks when she is drawn to you is some version of this. Do you spend a lot of time alone? It might come dressed in different clothes. Are you usually out on your own? Do you keep to yourself mostly? Are you seeing anyone or just doing your own thing lately? The phrasing varies. The question is always the same. And here's the thing most men completely miss. This question is not about your schedule. It is not about whether you are lonely. It is not even really about the answer at all. It is about access. She's asking whether your life has emotional space in it. She has, at some level, consciously or not, already pictured herself somewhere in your world. And she is gently, carefully testing whether there is room, whether you are open or closed off inside your routines, whether closeness with you is genuinely possible, or whether she would have to fight her way past walls you have spent years building. Women do not ask this question to a man they feel nothing for. They simply don't. If she felt nothing, she would not care how you spend your evenings. But when she is drawn to the kind of steadiness and depth that a mature man carries, she needs to know if she can enter your space without forcing herself in. Most men answer this question completely at face value. Yeah, I'm alone a lot. Or, not really, I stay pretty busy. And then the moment quietly dies because they miss the real question underneath the question. The man who understands feminine psychology hears what she is actually asking, and he answers from that understanding. He says something like, I enjoy my own company, but I'm always open to good company. Or, I like my routines, but I'm very open to someone who adds something real. Do you feel the difference? That answer does two things at once. It communicates that you are not desperate, not empty, not needy. And it opens a quiet door, a door that says, you might be someone I could let in. That combination, openness without neediness, receptivity without emptiness, is exactly the energy she's hoping to find. And when she feels it, it naturally leads her to the second question. The second question she asks, when she has decided she wants to know more, when she's deciding whether to go deeper, is this: what are you looking for these days? And I need you to hear me when I say, this question is never small talk. Ever. A woman who asks a man this question has already moved past simple curiosity. She is exploring him as a romantic possibility. She is asking because she has already somewhere inside her opened a door, and she is waiting to see whether he will walk through it with intention. She wants to know whether your life has direction, not your career goals, not your 5-year plan, your inner direction, your emotional aliveness, your sense of where you are headed as a person, and whether she could, if she wanted to, walk somewhere alongside you. Women do not open themselves emotionally or physically to men who drift. They open to men who are anchored, men who know who they are, men who are not paralyzed by their past or frozen by uncertainty about the future, men who are, as I like to say, emotionally awake. When a man answers this question with, I'm just looking for some peace and quiet, or I'm taking it day by day, or I don't really know anymore, she hears one thing: drift. And women do not invest themselves in men who drift, no matter how much they like him, no matter how attracted they feel. Drift feels unsafe, and safety is the foundation of feminine desire. If you want to answer this question in a way that builds genuine attraction, you do not need a long, carefully prepared speech. You do not need to reveal your entire emotional history. You only need to show her one thing: direction. You can say, I'm building a simpler, stronger chapter with the right people around me. Or, I'm looking for connection that feels natural, not performed. Or, I'm focused on living with real intention, good experiences, meaningful moments, the kind of depth that actually matters. These answers do something powerful. They show her that you're moving, not stuck. They show her that you have emotional clarity, and they open a quiet, warm space where she can imagine herself as part of what you are building. That is what she is hoping for. That is the signal she is waiting for. Proof that you are not emotionally asleep. Proof that there is a life here that has room and purpose and presence. Proof that you are, as I said, alive inside. Let me paint this whole picture for you in a single real-life scene, because I want you to be able to recognize it when it happens. You are somewhere: a cafe, a bookstore, a friend's gathering, maybe even an online conversation. The exchange feels smooth. There's ease, a gentle pull. She laughs a little more than the moment requires. She asked about something you said earlier as if she was still thinking about it. There's warmth in the way she holds your gaze just a half second longer than necessary. And then, out of what seems like nowhere, she asks, so, do you spend a lot of time alone? That is her first step toward you. That is the door, opening slightly. If you answer with presence, if you hear the real question underneath and respond from that place of calm openness, she feels encouraged. She feels something relax in her. And the conversation continues, warmer and softer. And then, a little while later, what are you looking for these days? That is her second step. That is her deciding whether to go deeper. If you answer with clarity, she feels possibility blooming. If you answer with uncertainty or deflection, the energy retreats. Not dramatically, quietly, and most likely permanently. Because here's what I need you to never forget. Women rarely offer the same emotional invitation twice. When they open a door, it is a singular moment. It is specific to that conversation, that energy, that feeling between you. If you miss it, the door closes, and most women will not open it again. This is what makes emotional awareness the most powerful skill a man can develop, not just for attraction, but for every meaningful relationship in his life. A woman does not test your words. She tests your presence. She tests whether you are the kind of man who notices the things that live beneath the surface. Whether you are paying attention to the room she is actually in, not just the one she appears to be in. When you can recognize the questions she uses to signal desire, you will never again find yourself wondering weeks later whether someone was interested in you. You will know, in the moment, and you will be able to meet her there, with steadiness, with warmth, and with the kind of intentional presence that makes a woman feel truly, deeply seen. Before you go, I want to leave you with this. The 2 words, I want and I appreciate, the 2 questions. Do you spend a lot of time alone, and what are you looking for these days? These are not tricks. They are not techniques. They are windows. Windows into the emotional language of connection, a language that most people were never taught, but that every human heart is already fluent in. When you speak this language, clearly, authentically, with presence, you don't just attract women. You become the kind of man that people trust, respect, and want to stay close to. The kind of man whose presence is felt in a room. The kind of man who leaves an impression not because of what he said, but because of how he made her feel. If you are ready to take this further, to truly understand the psychology of feminine attraction and emotional communication at a deep level, make sure you are subscribed to this channel. Because every single week, I am here with more of exactly this. Real psychology, real tools, real insights that you can take into your life immediately. And right now, in the comments below, I want you to leave the phrase, I see the signs. It tells me that this message landed. It tells me you are ready to use this understanding with intention and with heart. And it genuinely helps this video reach more men who need it. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here, for being the kind of person who wants to understand, not just perform. That quality, that desire to go deeper, is exactly what makes you the kind of man worth knowing. I'll see you in the next video. Take care of yourselves and each other.